Cut the music. Welcome to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, T to T. You can refer to me as Miss T. Y'all see the little thumbnail? Keith Thurman really wants to tell us how he feels. But for some reason, I don't think he can. I really don't think he can. You know he over there at the PBC. And you know they got a gag order on folks speaking out. Unless you saying, I want to thank Al Heyman, you really can't say nothing. But I ain't going to take up too much of you guys this time. I just want to say, especially to the casuals, we got a fight pending between Errol Spence and Keith Thurman. Do I think it's a real thing? Yeah. That fight was ordered by the WBC last year and originally was supposed to take place in December. But we all know that Errol Spence have emphatically said he does not want to fight Keith Thurman. Where my mood music at? Hold on. There we go. But Errol Spence has emphatically said that he doesn't want to fight him. So we have to take Errol Spence at his word. Now, there ain't nothing wrong with that. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm talking about what's going on with this scam. I call it a scam because you got two fighters who fight at 147, but yet they're going to be fighting at a whole nother weight division. Not to mention the people that's already at the weight division. I'm sure they looking at it like, what's going on? They got a declared champion, undisputed champion in that weight division. So what is 147 division, prima donna, three-time unified champion Errol Spence doing up in our weight division? Fighting a mandatory for his weight division. What's that all about? Well, I would say to you guys, think about it like this. That fight was originally supposed to happen in DC in December 2021. See, look, I mess up my years. 2022, I'm sorry. But the WBA weighed in, and the fight was moved to February 2023. Okay, fine. We all wanted to see Errol and Terrence Crawford fight, but hey, a mandatory. We've already explained Keith Thurman became a mandatory. It's not for no malicious or nefarious reasons. He legitimately is the man. So Keith, we speak up for you. He was awarded the Emeritus belt back in the day when he vacated the WBC. If you don't know that, then that's on you. But these are the facts. This is what made him number one in the rankings of the WBC. You can't say hooked them up. You can't say they did him a favor. This is what actually happened. So if anybody questions why he's the mandatory, you need to stop. What happened? Legitimately is where he's. Okay, move on. They legitimately ordered a fight between him because Errol Spence been lunching. He ain't been fighting this man. So now he done backed himself into a corner. He's in a predicament now. He's in a pickle where he got all these people coming at his heels. You got standing owners saying, I got a contract. You got Boots petitioning the IBF saying, I'm next. You got the fight that we all want to see in Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence for undisputed. And you got Keith Thurman having a legitimate reason for wanting to fight him. And that's legitimate. Now, Keith Thurman is a fighter. All these guys are fighting. You don't think Keith Thurman's a title? You don't think he wants his title back? You can say out the goodness of heart. You can say whatever reason why he vacated the WBC. All we know is that he did it. They didn't want to hold the division. Because like Earl Spence, Keith Thurman once was the man in the 147-pound division. And everything at his heels. But riddled with injuries and recovery time, he wasn't fighting. So he made the conscious decision to vacate his WBC. But he was strategic. He was awarded the emeritus spot, which meant when he's ready, he could come back and get the number one spot and challenge for the title again. But that's not the issue here today. They're fighting at 154, a division that they're not in. It's sanctioned. And Earl Spence holds 3 belts. And none of them are on the line. But the bout is sanctioned. So boxing fans, ask yourself, if the bout is sanctioned, you do that Keith and Earl Spence have to pay those. But Keith Thurman, you have to ask yourself, why do you have to pay fees? At the fight under a mandatory clause in a division that they are neither one of them are in, and fighting each other doesn't put you in that division no more. You have to pay sanctioning fees for this fight, but you can't win. Right mind. So I'm first to put a 8 one-time unified well opinion. Come out and speak. If y'all do a look at his fights, go look at his views. The dude has a gift to get. He made a high for PBC. He could definitely break them arena. Earl Spence and him could be a good fight. But the questions we have to ask as boxing fans is, why Spence asks the WBC to move the fight to 154? Oh, have it so that nobody can win the title. Why would you do that? What kind of scam is that? I challenge all boxing fans. Behavior, or this a common thing? Hit me up, boxingfanstalk@gmail.com. That's boxingfanstalk@gmail.com. Or come on to my live. I come on Monday through Friday, Thursday time, unless I'm caught up in something. But this is what I want to know. Keith Thurman, where you at, boy? Where you at? We want to hear from you. If you look as, have these ever been a loss for words? You don't hear Keith Thurman out there at all. And see, that makes me think problem? What is really going on? I don't think we have a happy camper in Keith Thurman. You heard from Mauricio Suleiman trying to explain it. You don't hear much from Earl. I think he came out and said something. But you definitely don't hear from Keith Thurman, which is not normal. Usually this dude is on it. What do they say? If they fight, both get to keep whatever they got. So that's the rumor. His number one status in the WBC. Earl Spence gets to keep the belt. Of course, the WBA and the IBF is not going to award Keith Thurman a belt for fighting Earl Spence. It's not at 147. So them two are off the hook. We understand that. But Mauricio Suleiman, what are you doing? Earl doing? What y'all running? How does fighting in a different weight class satisfy your mandatory? And how do you collect money on a sanctioning fee when you're not awarding any belts? If you say you got charged the holder, it is in writing, but a lot of people be like, all right, NBC, you're the title holder. Every time you fight, you're supposed to pay a sanctioning fee. But how do you charge Keith Thurman anything? What is the purse for fight? Inquiring minds want to know. Like I say, I put the challenge to anybody out there. Make this make sense. It's a scam if I never seen one before. And to be more specific, Earl Spence asked for this. Keith Thurman didn't ask for this. So the reason why I'm making this little video is because I've heard a couple of times like Keith Thurman is all lock, step, and barrel with them. Like he's on board with everything they saying. And I just don't believe it. You know why I believe it? Because Keith Thurman is a talker. He normally gets out there and say his piece. You haven't heard from Keith Thurman. Let this be a challenge to Keith Thurman to come out. Hey, Keith, you can always come over to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'll hit you up for an interview. Come on over and I will give you the floor to explain this whole shenanigan. Because I know you're not with it. But I know this puts you in an awkward position because you are signed to the PBC. And the only thing that you are allowed to say about the PBC is, I like to thank Al Heyman. That's all any of you guys with PBC is allowed to say. Anything outside of that, you run the risk of having some serious consequences. But yeah, this doesn't make sense. I don't think Keith Thurman is happy. He's a warrior, I'm sure. Just to fight, he'll be cool. But Earl Spence asked for this, you guys. And you know what date he asked for? November 14th, 2022. Let that sink in. November 14th, 2022. Earl Spence and team asked for this. So all that manufactured anger with Terrence Crawford taking the David Avanesian fight. If you go back last year, Keith Thurman spoke on it, that he was positive he was going to be next. Way before the summer, Keith Thurman was saying that. Earl Spence knew what time it was. He asked November 14th. That order went for him to fight Keith Thurman in December. some kind of way they got to move to February with the help of the WBA. And then conveniently, and I say conveniently loosely, Errol Spence has a car accident. I didn't see any paperwork or hear anybody officially say we're moving the fight. We just hear Errol Spence say, I'm fighting in April, May, or June. So Keith Thurman, where you at? To let us know what time it really is. Let me run down the facts again. They're not fighting in their division, which is 147. To the casuals, that's the division that they fight in. It's a mandatory, meaning it's ordered. You can't get out of that. But they moved the weight to 154. 154 has an undisputed champion and a bunch of former champions. Those two fighters, Keith Thurman and Errol Spence, are not 154-pound division fighters. The bout is sanctioned by the WBC. The WBA, the IBF, is not on the line because it's not their weight division. They have a champion. His name is Jamal Charlo. So the only belt that could be on the line is WBC. But wait a minute, we find out it's not on the line, but it's sanctioned by the WBC. So therefore, both Errol Spence and Keith Thurman have to pay Mauricio Suleiman for fighting at 154. Even though Keith Thurman can't win nothing. Only thing he can do is keep his number one ranked status. I ask you guys, I ask all the boxing fans, hit me up, hit the like and subscribe button. If you've already subscribed, don't worry about it. But I'm asking you guys, is this a scam? I'm just deciding to talk about certain of the excerpts of some of my content to drive home, like what's really good. I've sat back and waited to see if old Keith Thurman, he has it. Hey, we with you. Even though you walking in stealth and you walking in silence, we with you. Because this don't make sense. But in order for this to make sense, I want it to make sense. If somebody's so kind as to show me where this is common, let us just know. Keith Thurman, if you're on board with it, let the fans know. As far as there's no way in the world you could be on board with this. This does nothing for your career. And everything for Errol Spence's career. I asked you guys, in February, if the fight don't happen with April and June, so if it happen either one of those, even if the fight don't happen to April, you telling me that Errol Spence can't drop to 147? And then I'll leave you with this question. When have you ever seen Keith Thurman try to convey to his fans 147 division? Curious about that like I am. I promise you won't find video what Keith Thurman is saying. To 154. I think Keith Thurman wants. So with that, I'm gonna close. If you guys can find something else to show common thing that all fighters do this all the time, or this is just an Errol Spence special, let us just know. And I'll retract, I'll apologize. But I don't see that. feel a scam coming out. How about this? Is just my opinion, because things don't make sense. And with that, I'll go ahead and close it out.